This podcast is the journey of two card game designers climbing the huge mountain of game dev together. Come join us on the adventure. Welcome to DevUp.
Hello everybody, welcome to the DevUp podcast. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about updates to our game projects as well as a fun topic relating to development hell and development heaven. I am Dan or Daniel. Here we have Juniper. Say hello, Juniper.
Yo, we're back. Episode 2. The mountain won't stop us. We're climbing it up. That's right. Development hell, development heaven. Oh, I'm excited to talk about that actually. Kicking us off, want to bring you guys, Daniel and other people listening, over to Divine Engage. There's been some really awesome updates from the artist Zillerus, who has jumped onto the project. These are supposed to be sketches.
Are they just sketches?
I cannot fathom.
So
I cannot fathom. Zillerus just poured in some amazing efforts and talents into these art pieces, and they showed me this really cool process of the way they did the sketch allowed the coloring to happen really easily, which I thought was really cool. So we just added the splash of color, invested some extra effort into some of the art pieces, and so we have everything from mage knights wielding magical spectral squids to drill operators and everything in between. But something that I've been working on the project, and a really big update to DE, is the UI and design of the effects. And so you can kind of see in these 3 cards here that I've got that a lot of the keywords have had a major update in the game. So whenever you're talking about discarding, transcending, healing, I've tried to kind of get a little inspired from Chilijack in some cases, and even to the degree of having passive text and kind of colored numbers. So when you're sort of looking at a glance, you can have a really quick look at the UI. Because what I noticed from playtesting was people were saying my cards were really wordy, and I was like, really? I was kind of shocked by that, because I was I know that may be complicated, but I wasn't sure as to why. So I sat down and I really looked at my cards, and I was like, are these necessarily wordy? Are the words that I have on the cards for the effects necessary?
I have a question for you actually. With the new font change size, actually, have you ever had to reduce a certain sentence to try to fit it into the box? Any of the abilities that you currently have?
Yes, yeah, 100%. the divine abilities you see here on Zephyr. When you discard a card, gain a light rune. When you discard 10 cards, gain 4 wild runes and transcend. That sentence, I think I changed about 5 different times to just keep trying to I kept trying to make it as short as possible while retaining the clarity of what it's actually doing.
Right.
So before I had when you have discarded 10 cards in the game, and these extra little ed or have, or these extra words that they're just very irrelevant when you think about what you need to explain. So it's when you discard 10 cards, that's the shortest possible way I think I can say,
right,
have you done this yet or not? Yeah, so that's been a little bit of design. It was fun. So yeah, if anyone is making their own card game, love to hear how people get over their own struggles with UI and design and that. But that's my updates for the project. But one of the biggest ones that I cannot overlook is Zillerus took in a interesting card that exists in Chilijack, which is the Divine Chili. I'm going to bring a copy over here. And I was like, yo, it would be really cool. I said this a while ago to you, Daniel, like, oh, if we had like some sort of crossover, like a divine chili, you know, with elements, and then in Divine Engage have like a chili, that would be so cool. And I remember you just like whipped up this divine chili. You're like, oh, they're wielding all these elements, that's cool. And I was like, damn, this is so sick. So in the recent work crafting up the core set of the game, I was like, all right, we must craft the Chilijack spirit creature into Divine Engage. So I'm super happy to reveal that we now have the crossover completed. We have the Chilijack spirit.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love this. And I think having these like Easter eggs and references to each other's games is a really good way to. It was like an interesting challenge actually. Like without Divine Engage, I don't think I would have thought about the possibility of like mastering 3 elements and then trying to design an ability around that, and then it kind of like evolved into there was like a different version of the chili where it was like if you have all 3, you can swap all of your stuff that was on the plate from your hand. You basically just win the game on the spot, but it's like impossible to do. But then now it's a little bit like less overwhelming. You could just swap one thing, but usually you still would win when you do that. So yeah, but the coolest thing was the 3 elements. Like it all started from there. I think your game had these like volcanic nature storm, and I tried to actually match my colors of the ability types to that. I was like, I need a red, green, and blue, and so dining became blue, prepping became green, and then grilling became like yellow / like red. Yeah, so we're kind of like feedback looping each other, like inspiring each other, and leaving a significant impact in the design. And now we have these cards to literally be a part of each game, you know. And I think that's just really cool. It's really awesome to collaborate like that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun into DE as well. I was like, how do I represent this concept of the divine chili? And it was like, oh, well, in the new format with the divines, each divine kind of focuses on one area. So just having the heal, discard, or exile, just like ultimately this was nice because it kind of gave me the similar to what you're saying. It's like the wielding of the elements. And it was like from the art that you had come up with, like the concept for what the chili is, for the divine chili. I was like, oh, this is a really cool idea. So I ultimately made like one of the best cards in the core set, I think. This is like, you get like so much free range with this card. I can see it being built into like a lot of decks, which is really fun. So yeah, collaboration is amazing. Like I think like if anyone is creating their own games, collaboration, like don't be afraid of collaboration. You might go like, oh, people might steal my ideas or there might be messiness, but I think the positives far outweigh the negatives. And you can meet some like amazing people. Yeah, collaboration's been fantastic. So that's been a really cool part of the updates. Yeah,
sweet.
Amazing. Well, Daniel, tell me more about Chilijack and what is going on this week.
Yeah,
what's been some updates?
Yeah, I'd love to, Juniper. I got a couple of things that I wanted to update you guys on. There's the tutorial video that I'm working on right now. I feel that the game is, like the core mechanics of the game is finally at a really solid place. And there's been several times in the past where I made this like how to play video, and then I had to change my mechanics, and it would basically inundate the video completely. So I wanted to make sure that the core solid mechanics were there. And I'm creating this like screenshot you can see here, a scripted scenario where you as a player would be drawing cards, and I'm kind of walking the player through this scripted scenario as I'm telling them how the game is played out. And it's actually kind of challenging I first had to create a lot of these like fake cards that would serve a very important purpose in explaining the game without having to go too deep into the mechanics of it itself. Because my game is entirely like unique, like all the cards in the game are unique. So by using these like vanilla cards that have just like numbers on them, basically, it's a lot easier to explain the game from the get-go and get the players just diving straight in. Yeah, so I also have a little screenshot that shows you what each of the zones are called and like what happens when you do stuff in these zones here. This little keywords card, I don't know if I'm going to be actually shipping this in the final product, but as just for the tabletop simulator version, I have it so that players can reference this card when they're playing the game. We already saw the Divine Chili here. I have some new cards that I made last week. I have the Cheeky Chili Cat. This actually was a card. Hey, thanks. This is a card that like I rotated out, but I actually brought it back because the art was there, and I was like, I think I want to create a prepping ability that lets you swap stuff, and like it just fits the characteristics of a cheeky cat very well, trickster kind of a cat. And then I made a alien chili due to Juniper's request. I really liked. Yeah, I think it's really important to kind of listen to like creative like suggestions and things and be like, oh, like what can I make if it what would an alien chili do as a ability and things like that. Just kind of get the creative ball rolling. You know, I actually realized I haven't been making new chilies in a long time. I've kind of settled down on like a base, 55 chilies and 70-ish around expansion chilies, and I've been just tweaking and balancing those. But I felt like I had less and less like fun as I was just focusing on honing them down. Whereas like creating a new chili, like from drawing the art, creating up a new ability, and playtesting them and getting my playtesters excited about like new chilies, I think that was a huge motivator boost for me. So I'm always going to be from now on at least creating one new chili per week and just adding that onto a thing I need to do. Potentially more if I feel like it. Because it just like gets me like more motivated to keep making stuff. And yeah, balancing and tuning your game is great, but for me I also have to create more things. And yeah, so development, I guess like this is kind of like a development hell / heaven situation. Hell as in like, the game's not gonna come out because I'm like forever like trying to worry too much about the manufacturing process and stuff like that. But heaven because I love working on the game itself and actually like producing it and playtesting it with people.
Tell me about this like new mechanic. We got new cards.
Yeah.
Like even more stuff.
I was I was struggling a lot to come up with new design space for my game, and so there were several times when I was like reconsidering maybe should I be introducing new keywords into the game? Are there like enough core mechanics that like for example stacking, that's a core mechanic. Are there enough of that to keep players engaged, and it would allow me to create multiple expansions after the base set launches? And I think something that I just kind of overlooked is that there are still definitely a lot of design space left within Chilijack. Like the one that I use here is the top chili of the trash bin. That's the concept. There's this shared information that is used for all players, which is the trash. Everyone's putting things into the trash, and there's only one of them. And the top card has values on it. Like they have heat, they have the types, they even have abilities. So what if I can design some cards to care about what the top card of the trash is? And I designed a couple chilies, like the chef chili here. When grilled, if the top chili of the trash bin is a prepping chili, place it onto your plate. And then tactical, if the top chili of the trash bin has the same or milder heat than this chili, trash another player's chili on their plate. Very powerful effects, very game swinging effects, but they have this condition that you have to meet, and you can combo that with prepping chilies like the Choco chili, for example. Here you may prep this chili when you're grilling another chili to reveal the top 5 chilies of the deck and trash them all. You can trash them in any order to kind of guarantee that the effect that you want to happen can happen. So I was mainly trying to create this like combo and accidentally stumbled upon a really cool mechanic that I'm gonna try to lean a little bit more into. It's very satisfying when the plays do play off, and it's also very fun because your opponent can see that you want to do this when you simultaneously reveal your cards, and they can disrupt that by just putting another thing on the top of the chili trash bin, which you did actually. You did that against Xkume, and
Oh yeah.
that was super fun.
That combo, like, it was really, really cool because as a player, I was figuring out the potential of it as I was playing. I drew the chef chili first, and I looked at it, and I said, when grilled, the top of chili of the trash bin is a prepping chili. Place it onto your plate, and you may prep it. That's really strong because in Chilijack, when you are grilling your chili to kind of do all your cool stuff, you can also use these prepping chilies as like a little extra bonus ability. So having this option to like automatically gain something and then prep it is really strong. But I just thought, how is this possible? Like, how am I going to get into this scenario where, you know, the stars align and I have this thing on the trash bin? So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll have it in my hand. I'll keep playing the game. And then I drew one of these chilies that allowed me to summon and trash other chilies. And that's when I realized this like crazy design that you've come up with. And I'm like, Daniel is a genius. That's amazing, because I'm like, wait, I can put these chilies back in any order, and I've got 3 of them, and one of them's a prepping chili. So I like very quietly snuck this prepping chili on top of the trash bin and said nothing, just like holding this chef and like praying nothing else happens before the next turn. And I played the chef chili, got that in, got to do a bunch of combos, and that like won me the game, which was that was clutch. That's what you want from a game, though. I think this like explorative pop off, you know, like I felt like as a player, like I could achieve this like pop off state, but it felt like explorative. It felt like I was unlocking these steps, which was like really fun. That was
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah,
So, hats off for that. That was cool.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words, and I'm really glad that you were able to have that experience. I think the designers, like, we can provide players with these cards, and we try to help them. Like, we could hold their hand a little bit to help them understand. You might want to do these combos, but players also just find combos that we completely did not like intend for them to find, and that can sometimes be really fun and game breaking, and that can be something that we can legitimately like lean into to focus on and like make new cards around, you know. So I think that was kind of like a moment there where I saw that happen, and I'm like, okay, I think I really want to lean into this a little bit more now. I think players are gonna love comboing with abilities like this. So
Oh, amazing.
That's my update.
Yo, that's a fire update. This is great. I can't wait to bring more of these games into playtesting. I'm very excited. If anyone's chiming in and wants to 1v1 in Chilijack, by all means, come have some fun.
Yes, and Divine Engage as well, guys.
Oh, yes. We're going to have some fun playing some games.
Engage.
Yeah, so we might have some links down in the description to jump into some Discord, the Tavern, if you want to come in and have fun, or the Chilijack server. Come in and join in on the games for that front. But I think this leads really well into our kind of main segment for this episode, which I do have a leading question here. With this idea of struggling to find like design space, would you say you are now in a type of development heaven with this new mechanic? Like, do you feel like you like reached a point of I'm in dev hell with the design space? Like, what was your, like, in a quick recap, like what was your feelings around the design space of Chilijack?
Yeah, I I felt kind of stuck at first. When I got to this point where I truly felt like I squeezed everything out of every keyword and every mechanic that was available in the game, I felt mentally like stuck in I couldn't develop any new cards, and that kind of killed the enjoyment of like creation for me a little bit back then. Because I was like, okay, well, even if I made this really cool game, I can't keep making new cards for it because I've already made everything. Like every possible kind of removal that feels fair and fun for both players. Every kind of like summoning effects, every kind of stats of every heat available there. But then I feel like without having added any new keywords or any new zones or anything like that, new card types, having just unlocked interesting ways that cards can interact with each other, that felt like I have just unlocked this really powerful tool to see my game in a different way and see development of mechanics in a different way. There's always something you can do, I think. There's like trying to look for these like different hooks that you can attach onto, like analyzing what is fun for the players to perform in the game, and really diving into that and honing in on those mechanics. That's when it suddenly felt like I was in development heaven again, because I feel like the potential and combinations of things I can make is now like limitless again. So it really like shifted my perspective from hell to heaven just like that, when it felt like I could design more cards. And I think the only thing that I felt like was the development hell for me was that I felt kind of pressured by the release date, and no one set this release date for me. I don't have a Kickstarter, I don't have a like stakeholders like breathing down my throat like, hey, like you need to release this game soon. But it was purely just like my own expectation that I set on myself to try to release this before my next birthday. I think that was my main like driving goal, is I want to release this game around March, or make it available so people can purchase it in March of next year. And in a way, I've kind of put that pressure on myself to the point where it felt like development hell for me.
Yeah, this like self-imposed pressure is really interesting for the like indie game dev space, right? Maybe if you're working for a publisher, or there's other stakeholders and other things like that might have a different direction, but this like idea of self-imposed deadlines and I guess like how to position a project to be able to hit development heaven and not get spiraled into development hell, where the high risk and the really bad thing is like not releasing, right? I mean, that can be a really scary thing. And I want to bring us over to that with our kind of definition of these things. Like if maybe dev hell and dev heaven is some social media buzzwords going around a little bit, but I do think they have a place in our current landscape of games, and what games are coming out and what games are not coming out, or there might be. I think there's a lot of stuff in here, and I think like we have honestly two incredible games here as examples of either end of the spectrum, I think. So yes, Team Cherry has released their awesome game Silksong, or it is releasing. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be out, and I will have been living in a den of a cave, gaming out this wonderful piece of art over the weekend. But I think like I was so shocked. I was so shocked at their expression. There was a reporter who came and talked to them, sort of following the release or leading up to it, with this really cool article and exclusive piece that gave a little bit of dev insight from the team in Australia of what their thoughts was, and why it took so long. And it just stuck out to me, and I think people are spinning it into this headline of like Team Cherry's in development heaven. They've done it, you know. And it's a little melodramatic, but I think it's nice. Like, I think it's what the internet needs. We don't need another negative like label, you know. Like, I like that we're generating a positive label. I think that feels good. So I don't mind the label. I think it's cool. But just this expression of we just had so much fun making the game we couldn't stop is like, oh man, like if I can express that to myself as a designer, like with my game, I'm just having so much fun I can't stop. I mean, I think that is where you want to be.
Absolutely. And as a player, that's what you want to hear too. Like, your developers are just like spending too much time working on their own game because they're passionate about it and because they're having fun playing it and developing it. Like, it's gonna be good when it comes out. I hope that it is good, actually. Like, I hope that they're not just using this as a marketing like ploy to try to get people to buy it. But based off of just how good the first game was, and reading some of the interviews and like listening to some of the details, yeah, it does sound like this game is going to be incredibly polished and incredibly good. And I hope there's a lot, even more content. Hollow Knight already has a ton of content already, but I hope that Silksong also has a lot of content and learnings that they took from the first game applied to this one and just make it even juicier. You know, I think that's everything that we can ask for. But I do wonder, because Team Cherry was very successful like monetarily with the first game, and because they had this funding and the feeling of the relaxation, like they could just take as much time as they needed. If that was sort of the reason why they were able to focus on the game without having to worry about like, how are we going to monetize this, how are we going to, you know, make sure that the player base gets drawn by the characters, models, and all these things that like other AAA titles nowadays so rely on. Like, you know, they include gachas into their systems, and oftentimes they create with monetization as part of their core mechanics from the start, and so that's like baked in. You know, they have skins or something like that that can like change how your characters look, and that could also get in the way of developing the actual game itself. And I wonder if that's like one of the main reasons why a game like Silksong was in development heaven for so long versus like other AAA titles that unfortunately either like never shipped or got shipped and just never like took off. I know we put the Hytale logo here. Hytale, infamously known, might also actually have been in development for around 7 years, maybe more. I don't know. And I'm still looking forward to playing Hytale. It might actually, there's like a redemption arc that's kind of going on with Hytale as of now. We'll see. Maybe when the video releases, by the time that this video releases, Hytale is picked up by Simon and officially like saved again.
This is the new Silksong trend. Like, we're going from hyping Silksong up to like, will Simon Hypixel retain Hytale and revive it? I swear it's like we're jumping from one hype to the other hype. But yes. I mean, I can only hope as well. I think it's an awesome project. But I mean, it's really interesting, this expression around funding and resource and this kind of things, and the need to reach players and have returns of investment and this type of stuff. I think that like they said it themselves. Team Cherry expressed, we have enough money, we can just take our time. But I think that the freedom of resource can really allow you to build and craft something great. I really wonder, however, this idea of like, because realistically, something that intrigues me is Silksong is priced at $20, which is quite an accessible price for a title of this magnitude, right? Like if you know that you have basically got the most wishlisted game on Steam, right? You could, and then you look at the market recently, like you could probably sell this game for $40 US, right? Like that's probably fine. Like I don't think people would bat an eye, really, because it's Silksong out of all the
kind
games.
Of like, what like Mario Kart did when it released, Mario Kart World. They were like, it's Mario Kart, people are going to buy it, so they increased the price.
Yeah, and I will say they did get a bit of flack on the internet, me included. I was like, this is not cool, but I really think, and I really like that Team Cherry has stuck to their guns, shown a bit of beliefs here, and I think that, like, I really think there's a strength in authenticity, and there's a strength in just like simple art forms and creating art for the sake of it not being a product but an experience. And like that's what you are giving to the end consumer is I feel like if we see games as product and not experience, we're you know, like you're going to lose so much. And I think that can really pull you down into development hell. And this is something that I saw with Hytale, this project. The Hypixel people, really successful in Minecraft with their minigame server, transitioned to taking that money and starting up a game studio to make a Minecraft alternative, which is Hytale, has a lot of modding support, a lot of features. They got really far into their alpha build, but then again, like this idea of AAA and product, it sounds like it just gets in the way. The need for cross-platform support being so stressfully implemented into the, again, product, so that way you can hit more users and you can have this thing, let them down the lines of changing engines and just having all of this back-end stuff. Now, we're not going to know all of the bureaucracy that went on with the project, right? But just hearing some of these things come out into the public around the reasoning, it's just, to me, that speaks to we're treating games like product and not like experience. And if you're building and you're designing and you're creating an experience for people, like, and I hear Hytale and I just go, well, how could you think about a game that has mods are like this big feature, and then go, yeah, we really need to prioritize console? And I'm like, you can't really mod on a console. Like, that's not like your player base and the experience you're going to have with Hytale. To me, it sounds like a creative experience. It sounds like the users and players are going to be the creators of Hytale. They're going to be the modders. They're going to support it. And if you just launch that in on PC, real simple, give them that experience, see if that experience works, right? Know what you're crafting, and not just treat it like a product. Oh, we have to do this. Like I wonder if, you know, there's lessons to be learned in terms of what are we doing in terms of, I guess, practices that generate this like development hell cycle. But I guess like it's quite a tricky one, right? Because I mean, I'm talking from an indie developer, very solo, kind of working with a couple people here and there. And so there's a lot of, I wonder as well, do you think that development hell looks different between the likes of studios and big teams and individuals and indie developers? Because I hear it being used across the board, but I wonder if there's a distinction.
That's a great question. And I think development hell for is oftentimes more common in bigger studios. And I say this with like an asterisk maybe, because not every studio has this issue, but I think usually development hell is very commonly associated with a game that either is very big and is like just like a one-time release. So for example, like I don't know, like a Elden Ring, for example, like a single-player adventure game that has content from start to finish, and they've been working on it for like 5 or 6 years, and they usually have this reputation of like being a good studio, and they have to release this game that's like great. Cyberpunk 2077 or something like that, that like promises players this big world from the get-go, and they release a trailer like that like 4 or 6 years ago, and they sell you on this dream of like, we're gonna be working on this really big game with like a big open world, you can go anywhere. And then as you get closer and closer to kind of like the finish line, you start to realize that your promises have not really been delivered. So you start delaying your game. You tell your stakeholders, hey, the game is gonna be not releasing until like 6 more months, and stakeholders are not really happy with it, and they want you to like put in other things into the game to, for example, like earn you more money. So it just like becomes this like pool of delaying things and doing stuff that you don't want to do, and communicating that to your other designers in your team. And the bigger the team is, I think that this also like gets harder to manage. A lot of the people who are working on the game, who were very excited for the game to get released, are now going to suddenly feel this extra added weight of having to wait until their work is released and to feel gratified for that. And looking at Team Cherry, their core team is like how many people? Like 3 people. So with, of course, having a infinite amount of money to just literally sit back and, you know, today we're gonna make some monsters. Today we're gonna like make the combat feel a little bit better. We're just gonna playtest all day, right? Like there's not like someone breathing down your neck, like, oh, like you gotta add in skins and stuff to make the game better. But I also think that the smaller team size and the nature of just what an indie company does helped them feel like they could take their own time, their own pace when it comes to working on the game. And it doesn't feel like you're actually at a job. You're just like making stuff that you want to do. And that's the kind of situation that everyone wants to be in. It's ideal. But I think to their credit, they're also very diligent and they work really hard, I think. There's a lot of people who will get that money and just be like, well, I don't have to work that hard anymore. Or, you know, I started making games because I love games, but overall, as time like kind of continued, like once things got comfortable, I'm gonna start like making less and like streaming more or something like that. There's definitely people out there who like once they started like gaining money, like as streamers, for example, they stopped making content as that were like as, you know, fulfilling for them and for their viewers to see. And I think Team Cherry did a wonderful job in taking the resources, taking the time, and actually spinning it into making sure that the passion project that they're working on came out perfectly. Well, I mean, we haven't seen the game, we haven't played the game yet, so I'm saying this kind of with the
This is recorded before it's released. This is the 3rd of September. We're recording this episode. So if in like 6 days we're all crashing out on social media about Silksong, hey, we're optimists in DevUp.
Yes.
We're here to reach peaks, you know, not to just like tumble down mountainsides. So, I mean, I think something that I think is fantastic is when you see the trailers and like little screenshots and stuff from like 2019, 2022, 2024, and even 2025 for Silksong, like you see the same areas and the same pieces of content.
Wow.
But you see that dramatically improved every time. And so the stark difference between 2019 environments in Silksong and 2025 environments, and you go, they've enriched the color palettes and the vibrancy of the game, and they've changed like bits and pieces to make it better quality. And I think that development heaven for me in my journey as a designer, I think, is improvement. I think that, do you feel like your experience and your art that you're crafting is improving? I don't think it needs to, again, like, I feel like if it's tied into anything that has anything to do with it being a product or how it's used in that way or things like this, like, I feel like it's not deriving from the improvement of the actual thing itself. That's very profound, and I agree. I think my journey, I can look back several years and see the different games that I've worked on and know that everything about the games that I create, like, you know, whether it be the literal like design, the core mechanics of the game, the art, the way it's presented to the players, how like easy and accessible it is for them to learn, like all those things have improved over time, and that's what kind of fuels me to keep going. I don't know about you. How do you feel about Divine Engage as well? I mean, with the updates today, like being able to share and showcase with you guys this like UI thing, it's like I feel like I'm approaching dev heaven. You know, like as a card game designer, I mean, I don't have many things like a Silksong game where you have platforming and code and art and all these aspects. Like, I have the cards and the game system for my project is done. So I've basically like got the cards. Like that's what I have as my wheelhouse. So having improvement there, like and being able to present that, I think like to me that's development heaven, because I think being able to show progression, even if you're Team Cherry and you want to hide it away and make us question our existence for 6 years, but they still did it. I will give them huge credit that even over those 6 years, we are able to get glimpses. So that was quite nice. But I think we can all thankfully say that Silksong is coming out, so Team Cherry is finally going to save our sanities. But yeah, I just think it's improvement. I mean, that's what I've seen from my own projects. Like, I'd love to hear for any people checking out the episode, if you guys have your own impressions of development hell and development heaven, maybe in your own projects. Do you have some horror stories with projects going wrong? Do you have great ascensions? You've recently published your game out, or you know, come and share those stories. I'd love to like read some of the stories and comments of how people's own experiences are going. But I think, like I said before, having a label that gets generated might be a bit melodramatic, but having it be a positive one, I think is great. So heading into this week, we've got some amazing updates. Thank you for sharing in your Chilijack updates, Dan.
Of course, my pleasure.
I'm so excited. This how to play video is gonna hit. Check it out, people. Chilijack's coming soon. We're gonna all in how to play it together. I'm very excited. But I think this is a great place to end off the episode. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I feel great. I think we talked about lots of great stuff today, and there's definitely like more stuff that I wish I could talk about, and potentially topics that we could cover for next week's episode. You know, whether it be like about finishing your project or even about like teaching players how to play your game, but the overall emphasis on like shipping a game is maybe something that I'm interested in covering. So because for me, I think a lot of the games that I felt stuck in the development hell for is oftentimes the ones where I couldn't finish, and sometimes I would work on a game for 2 years and it just kind of ends up into this big bloated project that only I could play, and I would end up moving on to the next project. I'm sure that a lot of people who are listening right now, if you've worked on a game before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So like, how do we get across to the finish line and call a project done? And how do we, just like invite players to play our games? Those things may be something we can talk about next week. What do you think?
Oh, I like this idea, reaching the finish line. So what we're saying is we have to release our card games, both of us, by next week for the podcast. That's what we're saying.
So that we have the experience.
Our deadline's Tuesday. All right. Heard it here first.
Oh no.
Not quite. I think in talking about finish lines, I think like I'm really curious and interested to talk about how there are different amounts of finish lines and how maybe it's not one distinct finish line, but there's other facets. So if you're interested, come check it out. We'll be posting next week talking about some more fun with development hell or development heaven. We'll see where we get up to in the mountain. But if you reached this part of the episode, if you want to reach dev heaven for yourself, maybe in your comments slyly put dev stonks somewhere in there so we know that you've reached this part of the episode. And yeah, excited to hear more stories. So we'll be back with some game updates and some finish line tales and discussions next week. But this was fun.
Sounds good.
All right.
Absolutely.
Catch you guys.
Catch you guys next week. Bye.
See ya.